Hi, this is Jim Lawson from Bourns Pro Audio. We're here in Music City, USA at the Summer NAMM show. We're talking to a couple guests this morning. This morning I have a buddy of mine, Wil Kelly. Will's the author of Vintage Guitar Magazine's highly popular Shop of Hard Knocks, which I read monthly.
Thanks.
It's a tech column, highly respected guitar builder. He has collected and repaired and traded vintage guitars for over 25 years. How old are you?
Yeah.
As well as operating his own boutique guitar repair shop, Hard Knocks Guitars, in my hometown, Raleigh, North Carolina. Will's a professional guitarist who began working on his own gear in his early teens. Over the years, he's worked with such artists as Jimmy Herring, Johnny Highland, Robbie Calvo, and the band Love and Theft. Wil custom builds his own brand Hard Knocks guitars on an individual basis for select clients, specializing in relic and aged hardware and finishes, of which I saw some handiwork earlier this week. Along with the consulting work for such notable companies as Mojo Tone, BYOG Guitar, Guitar Fetish, and others, Wil is currently finishing up writing his first book. Voyager Press has got the book titled How to Build a Kick Guitar, and that's going to be published in the fall of this year, 2011. So welcome, Wil. It's good to have you here.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate your support of Bourns, and I just want to ask you a few questions.
Sure.
I'm really interested in your background, a little bit about what you know about what's inside guitars, what you think is important and what is not. Of course, we think everything's important inside the guitar, but we met a little less than a year ago at the Sega show in Raleigh, and
yeah.
You kind of sought me out, and I found out that you knew who we were long before I knew you. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, back in the pre-internet days, I used to do a different job, but it involved a lot of travel and driving. So I was always ending up going around pawn shops and stuff, looking for old instruments and fixing them up and reselling them for a profit, usually. And I remember this one, it was a Gibson SG, like a mid-60s, and one of the pickups was dead, so I started taking it apart and looking at it, and I noticed these little square black pots, and I was like, what are these things, I mean, and I didn't know who it was, so I started doing a little research, which was difficult without internet, and figured out that it was a Bourns pot. And it's sealed, and and it still worked fine. The pickup was dead, but the pot was great. And this was probably a 25, 30-year-old guitar at the time. So that's how I became acquainted with who you were. But back in those days, without an internet, you really had to kind of know someone who knew someone to find them. So it kind of got filed in the back of my head under really good stuff to know. And then started seeing them around again. And in the meanwhile, I started building my own line of custom guitars and was faced with the challenge of where do I find high quality components that, I might as well sign the back of every part on a guitar I build, because that's how personal it is to me. That's me on that guitar and in that guitar, so anything I put on it or in it's got to be representative of my standards. And started searching out Bourns pots, and luckily ran into you last year, and it really worked out for me, because I think it's the best stuff in the world, and if you're going to put your name on it, you should really put Bourns in it. That's just the way I feel.
That's great. That's great. I've seen quite a bit of your handiwork, sort of in the build stage, if you will. I've seen some of your work finished, and then I saw it again. Apparently what I saw wasn't finished. For example, the antiquing job that you did on that Sunburst Stratocaster. But of course that had our potentiometers in it.
Sure.
How many instruments do you think you've put out that you've included our products in? I'm just interested in the population out there.
Well, I'll tell you, I've put every one of them since I met you. How's that?
Okay.
I'm a very low production builder. Everything I build is on custom order for particular artists. I don't want to be in the 1,000 guitar a month category at all. So immediately after I met you and got a few samples from you to evaluate, it was on from there. I mean, you know, it's just, this is what I'm going to do, and then I don't have to worry about that part of my build. I can go on to find the best bridge I need or the best tuners I need, but the electronic components are just taken care of now. And then I started telling all my buddies about them. John Page from the old Fender Custom Shop, and Jay Black, Gene Baker, guys that are very well-known builders, that we all have this common problem. You know, we've used the traditional style potentiometers for years and had to replace them regularly, clean them every couple of weeks. You know, if you're in a particularly moist or humid concert venue, pot starts drifting in value, and it's just, you know, it's the bane of a guitar tech's existence, honestly. And to find something that takes all that away and gives you consistent performance from part to part to part, you know what you're getting, you know that you don't have to worry about if the tolerances are going to be out, if the taper's going to be wrong. You know, it's just a quality component that you can put your name on it. And, you know, I know I sound kind of maybe a little biased, but when I sign a guitar, which is the last thing I do when I build a guitar, the very last thing I do is sign the headstock. And once that's signed, that's me there. And if it's on stage in front of 10,000 people and the volume control craps out, it's not the volume control they're mad at, it's Wil Kelly. So we got to keep that out of the equation.
You did a very nice article earlier this year on upgrading your guitar, and you basically said in your article to the readers that if you're considering an upgrade, why wouldn't you consider putting quality components in your guitar? And you know, I think the industry spent an enormous amount of time with pickups, which is an important part of the guitar, as we know, and very little time on this passive component that's in the guitar that helps the instrument have volume control, and of course tone control if you so desire. And that was a very nice article. How much feedback have you gotten in that regard? I mean, has there been questions, and some interesting comments perhaps from some people?
Well, you know, it's weird. I'd probably say I get at least one email a day still, and that article was out, what, 2-3 months ago?
At least, yeah.
And I still get probably at least one email a day from people that have read it and want to either find out where they can buy them or will they apply to their particular situation. And you can kind of tell where someone's coming from, because most guitarists that I know are good players, they love their instruments and stuff, but they don't have a clear understanding of the mechanical aspects. Like most of us drive vehicles and we maybe can know how to change the oil or something, but as far as retuning the engine and, you know, adjusting the compression ratios in the cylinders, you know, it's over my head too. But it's a frustrating thing for people, and I think education and customer support and things like that are really important when you invest in a part, because the cost isn't always that part cost. It's the tech time, the $45 or $55 an hour you had to pay to get it put in. And then if you're not using that sealed quality component, you're taking a dice roll. When you come back with the part, it could go out on you in a year, it could go out on you in 6 months, you could start having problems with it almost immediately, and then you have to just repeat the cycle. So the true cost of this is your, you know, the labor cost, the time without the instrument, and of course the cost of the part itself. But in the meanwhile, you know, that's distracting you from the things that you should be focused on, which is learning your instrument and playing your instrument. I always tell people that the best guitars I know are the ones that are transparent to the guitarist. In other words, what they hear in their heads, they can just, the guitar is just transparent. They can move right through it to the listener. You know, it doesn't affect it, doesn't color the, you know, what the listener hears. When you have faulty components, when you have electronic things that don't work well, doesn't matter how rare if you could have a 59 Les Paul and a dodgy volume control, and guess what? Your guitar is going to sound or not sound just like anything else out there, crackling, popping, dull, muffled sounding. I believe that the little things matter, you know, and if you get the best component and you do the best job of installing it, and that's just a brick that you build a strong foundation for a great instrument on. And I really honestly can't see using anything else, and so are most of my friends.
Great. Sounds like You're sold.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, no, actually, yeah, very much so. I wouldn't be doing this, you know, as a product or a repair columnist for vintage guitar. I get approached constantly by companies wanting to give me things, and you know, hey, would you look at our product and everything? And you can kind of pretty quickly tell when something has substance and whether it's good and it's worth what it's saying. It does, and I feel like immediately like Bourns was that kind of product. And they're rare. I mean, out of 20 things that come out in the market for a guitar, I think one of them's incredibly relevant, and the other 19 are just, you know, different twist on something that's already there. I think this is unusual in that it's just such a unique item. No one else makes it in the world, and nothing else comes close in the world.
Great. Well, we appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're pleased with our products. So with that, I want to thank Wil for coming to talk to us this morning. And this is Jim Lawson for Bourns Pro Audio, talking here from Music City, USA in Nashville, and wishing you good playing.